We're just 66 days away from the presidential and parliamentary elections here in Ghana. Hello and welcome to Joy News Prime. We're live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125, all social media platforms and around the world on myjoyonline.com. Coming up this hour, more labor unions declare readiness to lay down their tools to join the call for government to declare state of emergency on Galamsey, with the latest being GPRTU and Concerned Drivers Association, who say no car moves on October 10.
Come on the 10th, all GPRTU nationwide will lay down our tools. Nobody will work until otherwise.
On the 10th of this very October, no vehicle is moving. We will sit down and demonstrate. We will not let any trotro or long-distance vehicle move in the country.
We'll hear from the Trades Union Congress 24 hours after that declaration, as they say government is here to reach out for any negotiation, vowing to press home their demand.
No, not any that I have seen. And I'm not sure any of our leaders have seen anything. They have not communicated anything personally to me. But if they have done so with other leaders, I would have been in the know.
Also, Youth Employment Agency CEO writes to its board demanding a suspension of its agreement with Zoom Lion after hundreds of sweepers are owed by the company for more than a year, despite being paid only 250 cedis a month. We have details plus a response from Zoom Lion. And this evening, the unidentified woman who allegedly died after being abandoned in a bush by staff of Winneba Hospital is set to get justice, as the Ministry of Health hands the case to the police CID for criminal investigation and possible prosecution. Tonight, more labor unions have declared readiness to lay down their tools to join the call for government to declare state of emergency on Galamsey. Already, the University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, the Media Coalition Against Galamsey have all declared their support for the indefinite nationwide strike declared by TUC on Tuesday after the expiration of a one-month ultimatum to government. Now, TUC and other unions have been demanding the revocation of LI 2462 and also the declaration of a state of emergency on all illegal mining activities. First, my colleague MFA Adeti sat down with Deputy TUC General Secretary Dr. Kwabena Nyankwotu, who says since the declaration of the strike yesterday, they are yet to hear from government.
Nothing has changed. So we are still in preparation to undertake the strike come 10th of October 2024.
Well, so between yesterday and today, have you seen any intention from the government to want to engage you in any form?
No, not any that I have seen. And I'm not sure any of our leaders have seen anything. They have not communicated anything personally to me. But if they have done so with other leaders, I would have been in the know.
Now, should government decide to engage in any way, are you still going to go on a strike even if they like to meet you halfway?
Okay, so we outline a number of demands. Okay, we expect that government to fully accede to all those demands. But of course, we are also a body that does engagement a lot. And we are open for engagement. At the end of the day, our objective is to ensure or to see that Galamsey, particularly in forest reserves and the water bodies, are brought to a complete halt. Then after that, we can have a discussion on the broader question of mining and its impact on the Ghanaian society, particularly on the things that matter to us, forests and water, for example.
And so you say the forest and the water, where you like as a reserve, describe as reserve, should not be touched in any way. And that's, at least if government is able to do that one, you're looking to consider or reconsider the date, the 10th of October?
Yeah, we are. But, I mean, so the objective is not merely to strike for the sake of striking. The objective is to end Galamsey.
Well, the biggest transport union, Ghana Private Roads Transport Union, GPRTU, and their counterparts, the Concerned Drivers Association, have become the latest to fully declare their readiness to join TUC strike action. Listen to Public Relations Officer of GPRT, Ibrahim Abbas Moro, and that of the Concerned Drivers Association, David Agbado.
Come on the 10th, all GPRT nationwide will lay down our tools. Nobody will work.
How many drivers are we talking about as far as the GPRT is concerned?
My brother, as many as you could count, because we operate all over the 16 regions. Undisputedly, we are the leading transport operators as well. And I strongly believe we are not doing this for GPRT, but we are doing this for Ghana. As long as the Galamsey issue keep destroying our water bodies and creating problems for anybody who consumes any water in that condition, then means nationwide. By coming out again, don't expect only GPRT. You expect all transport operators as well.
And so on the 10th, almost tens of thousands of drivers under GPRTU who sit at home, they will not put their cars on the road.
Yes, if nothing changes, that's exactly what everybody should expect.
No movement across the country
until otherwise.
On the 10th of this very October, no vehicle is moving. We will sit down and demonstrate. We will not move our vehicle. We will not let anybody, any trotro or long-distance vehicle move in the country.
So I get the sense that on the 10th of October, there will be no commercial vehicle on the street across the country to pick passengers from one point to the other.
Exactly so. If organized labor and TUC are doing this to save Mother Ghana, we will all join hands by parking our cars as the whole nation. This is not Obienya issue.
What's the number of drivers we are talking about in this association, and which part of the country will be affected?
This is 16 regions. Even if concerned drivers, we have a region, even in a region, we have only 500 drivers in a region. 16 regions, we are talking of a huge number of drivers that are parking.
We're joined by on the phone by the Executive Secretary of the National Labour Commission, Ofosu Asama. Grateful to you, Ms. Asama, for joining us. Now, has the TUC reached out with their intended plan yet?
Are we doing what?
Has the TUC reached out to you with their intended plan to set out from the 10th of October?
Yes, we haven't received any formal communication. However, we are very much aware of what is going on through the electronic and social media.
So what then is the plan? Because we know that they have to come to you to get to reach consensus on their plan to sit down. And that's why I'm asking whether they've come to you yet.
No, they haven't come to us. They haven't given us formal notice. Notification as the law demands when you want to declare strike. And, in the same way, to the employers who have not complained about the conduct of we haven't received any complaint from either the private sector, the employers, or the government in respect of the action being intended to be taken by the TUC. But like I've said on other platforms, you see, the National Labour Commission is there to settle labour issues and industrial disputes. This is a case involving labor, organized labor. But, in settling labor and industrial disputes, as and when it comes up, we are guided by the labor law, the collective bargaining agreements that have been reached between the parties, the contracts of employment, and the various agreements between the employer and employees in settling their disputes. But if you look at this case, where the organized labor is not seeking the welfare of its members based on an agreed an agreement like the collective bargaining agreement, the contract they have signed with their employers, or some of the conventions and other things that are provided for by the labor and the industrial institutions and acts and practices. This is an action they are taking, an industrial action they are embarking to press demand, the national demand, which is outside.
Can I have the sound in my ear?
Very and their direct welfare, but like government policy. So that is, I see the acting more pressure to force the government to press for the government to do certain things ordinarily it is not doing, rather than coming up as a union fighting for something for their members. It's like what they are fighting for is not for their members, but it's something of national concern.
Yeah.
So, as a commission today, we have been deliberating upon it and to see how to tackle it. And we are not finished yet. So, tomorrow there will be another meeting.
Okay. So, if on the 10th they should begin this without bringing you official notice, I mean, what will the commission do?
Oh, you see, the law prescribes that if any union who want to embark on a strike as a group of people, you must notify the National Labour Commission and notify their employers. In this case, we see that they have notified their employers, that is the Ghana Employers Association, and then they have notified the government, but we as a commission have not received any formal notification.
Well, but if you say notification, have they sent official letters to them, or just by way of the media talking about it that the employers have been notified?
Oh, no, I know they have sent letters to
Okay.
but not to us.
Okay.
So perhaps I'm sure that they may be thinking that this is not one of a pure labor issue seeking the welfare of their members, but trying to pressure the government on a national issue.
So if that's the case, will they be infringing on any law or not, such that it will demand that you come in to intervene?
Once they have declared a strike without notification to the National Labour Commission, I believe that they are infringing upon the law as the demands of the Act 651, because it's going to affect production. They are not going to work. It's going to affect production. And of course, it is something that is between them and the employers, that is either government or the private sector. So it's really, things against the Act.
Okay.
But like I'm saying, the challenge is the purpose of the strike. That is what we are looking at now.
All right. I'm grateful to you for joining us here on Prime, Joy News Prime. Now, also, the Chief Executive Officer of the Youth Employment Agency is tonight demanding an immediate suspension of the management services contract between the agency and Zoom Lion. YEA has a contract with Zoom Lion to manage hundreds of sanitation workers across the country who sweep the streets and other public spaces. The government pays Zoom Lion 850 cedis per sweeper through the YEA, from which the company pays sweepers just 250 cedis and keeps 600 cedis as management and logistics fees. Some of these sweepers have not been paid for more than a year, prompting the YEA to demand a review of the arrangement. My colleague I will bring in you, details of this. But let's bring you much more in this particular story by speaking to the Director of Communications of Zoom Lion for some answers on this. She joins us here. She's Director of Communications and Corporate Affairs of Zoom Lion, Emma Adjoapia Oseidia. Emma, I'm grateful to you for joining. First off, is it true that you have not paid some of the sweepers under the sanitation project for more than a year, as we have seen in this letter, and several of the sweepers who have spoken to the media?
I couldn't hear your last part. What did you say, please?
So just about whether it's true that you have not paid your sweepers for more than a year, as we've known.
We have not paid our sweepers over a year.
Yes.
We are owing them less than a year, around 9 months.
You're owing them around 9 months, not more than a year.
Yes. Yes.
So what is making some of them say you are owing them more than a year?
Well, when we did the payment, we didn't pay throughout the nation at the same time. So it was in a continuum, paying some regions and then we move on to other regions. So it depends on which region wanted to discuss our indebtedness to them.
When were these payments effected?
At the moment, we are still paying them.
So when were the payments, effected? Because you're saying that it could be the differences in the regions why some people are owed more than a year. And that's why I want to understand, when did the company start making payment to your workers?
Last year, we paid some of them, and we continued up to now.
But why do you owe your workers 9 months' salary when you are paid by government?
We pre-finance and we are reimbursed, then we continue like that. So as a business, we will, there are terms and conditions in the contract that show the extent to which our the contract owners will have to owe us money. So if we have done the pre-financing up to an extent, we will have to check if we get the requisite reimbursement.
How many months does government owe you?
I will not be able to give those details, but I know that there are discussions going on regarding the entire contract, so I cannot disclose those ones.
Because you mentioned that you pre-finance, one would want to understand how long does government owe you to then put this into proper perspective.
Yeah, that is what I have discussed with you right now, that I will not be able to give you the specifics.
But there are also complaints about the fact that you pay your workers 250 cedis out of 800 cedis. I mean, any arrangement to try to look at it, because that's paltry, 250 cedis per month.
Okay, let's look at it like this. Mm-hmm. This is a contract that is discussed between the YEA, who are the contract owners, and we, the contractors who execute the contract. Mm-hmm. And there are components to that 850, which have been listed out in the contract document. And so we are paid to cater for their logistics out of that same amount. We are paid for our management services out of that same amount. And the beneficiaries' allowance is also out of that same amount. And everything is explicitly stated in the contract. Hence the amount 250 being paid to them. Plus the fact that these beneficiaries whom we work with do not work for 8 hours a day. Their work is such that they work for 4 hours, and that is also in the document. So the 250 is an allowance for the period of work, which has been stated.
Well,
we also, on our own, which is not part of the contract, share whatever we get to share with our staff, with them, at Christmas, which is something we do on our own.
But there's also what we call the daily minimum wage. That's your 250 cedis, match up to the daily minimum wage the law prescribes?
You are privy to the daily minimum wage, the lower limit and the upper limit. So if you should divide that by 8, even when you take the upper limit, if you should divide that by 8 hours, you get the hourly wage, and multiply that by 4, you will understand the extent to which the contract owners decided to assign that amount as their monthly allowance.
Well, anyway, the YEA is calling for the suspension of the contract between you and the government. What's your reaction to that?
I have not cited any documents like that, and I may have to communicate with my bosses if they have. I do not know at this moment. However, if that is the situation as you're saying, if it comes up, management is going to take a decision on that.
Okay, grateful to you, Adjoa, for joining us here. Now,
Thank you very much.
away from that, the Chief Justice is blaming prosecutors from the Attorney General's Department for delaying court trials of persons arrested in connection with illegal mining. There are currently 850 alleged illegal miners standing trial in various courts across the country. However, many of these cases have dragged, with none of these cases having been concluded. Organized labor has also announced a nationwide strike, citing the failure of the authorities to constitute a special court to prosecute accused persons as a reason for their action. Although the Attorney General wants judges to expedite prosecution, the Chief Justice says the work prosecutors also is the cause of the delay. There's more in the following report.
The 2024 Annual General Meeting of Judges and Magistrates also brought together stakeholders to reflect on improving the security and welfare of the judiciary for effective justice delivery. However, given the raging national crisis of illegal mining, Attorney General Godfred Dame chose the occasion to call on judges to expedite cases related to persons standing trial over illegal mining.
Cases are secured, but they come in trickles. Currently, over 140 cases of illegal mining involving over 850 accused persons are pending in courts in the Western, Eastern, Ashanti, Greater Accra, and Upper East regions of Ghana. Some have been pending since 2020. This situation, with all respect, cannot be right. We are in urgent national crisis, and all citizens and institutions with any form of role to play must be called upon to act. Your leadership, I therefore respectfully call on you to direct all judges sitting on Galamsey cases to conclude the cases, the hearing of which has started within 1 month from the commencement of the legal year on 10th October 2024.
However, the Chief Justice, Gertrude Tokono, in response to the AG's concerns, pointed out that delays in illegal mining cases also stem from the work of some state prosecutors.
Petitions about delays through unending adjournments of cases. There's no need for a court to adjourn a case after the case management conferences for mention. My firm view, developed from 20 years of sitting as a trial judge and appellate judge, is that it should not be the norm that parties are made to dress up, leave their businesses, spend money traveling, and spend time just sitting in a court premise only to hear the title of their case called out and told to come back another date. On the issue of delays in Galamsey cases, the Attorney General will acknowledge that our engagements have shown that the delays often come from the work of prosecutors.
The courts and the Attorney General have come under intense criticism for the detainment of some 53 persons who allegedly staged a protest over illegal mining, with a number of civil society groups calling for their release. However, Godfred Dame says, although the actions may be wayward, some innocent persons may have been mobbed up together with a group, a reason he expects the police to let them go by the next hearing.
Having said this, I urge the police service to swiftly conclude investigations by the next adjourned date of the cases involving the prosecution of SSs for recent protests in Accra, so as to exclude by that date all those against whom sufficient evidence cannot be found to proceed further. I also advise the prosecution to consider relevant bail applications at the next adjourned date of the case.
Now, still on Galamsey, concerned citizens against Galamsey set to embark on a 3-day demonstration to demand government bans illegal mining and also release 52 Democracy Hub protesters facing trial at the Accra Circuit Court. One of the conveners, Adati Brownson, spoke at a news conference just a while ago. The protest will begin from the Oponglo and end at the Independence Square.
That you can be silenced if you dare stand up for what your right is, that you can be detained without reasons or justice. This is not the Ghana that we know, and we cannot stand by and allow this to become our reality. This protest is more than just raising awareness. It is about demanding action. It is about saying enough is enough. We demand the immediate release of our detained comrades. They should not have to suffer simply because they fought for our land and future. We demand that the state authorities stop these unconstitutional actions that trample on the rights of individuals. And we demand that real steps be taken to end Galamsey and restore the damage done to our environment. We are not just fighting for ourselves, we are fighting for our future generations. If we don't act now, what will be left for them? What will they say about us when the rivers have run dry and the forests have disappeared? This protest is not just about resisting destruction, it's about protecting life itself for us and for those that will come after us. I will invite my comrade Kamwe Tego to tell us the date and the route for tomorrow's demonstration. Thank you.
To ensure law and order, the organizers of the Concerned Citizens Against Galamsey say it will not tolerate any act of indiscipline.
Now, as for the modalities of the march, and this is very, very important, we are working in conjunction with the Ghana Police, who has made clear the Public Order Act, the responsibilities of organizers and the responsibilities of the police. To it, we want people to understand that we are not going to tolerate anybody who will come out to join us for the protest, but is coming out for unseen reasons other than what we are marching for. If anybody infiltrates this protest and they have the idea that they want to disrupt the protest, cause any form of violence, they will be handed over to the police. And we will not bat an eye, because as organizers, we hold the sole responsibility of ensuring that this is a peaceful protest. No public.
Now joining us for more on this is Adate Brownson, who joins us via phone. Adate, I'm grateful to you for joining. Now, you mentioned the Public Order Act there. So I want to find out from you whether you've gotten the go-ahead from the police service.
Absolutely. I want to say good evening to Ghanaians and your viewers. We have actually gotten the clearance and then the go-ahead from the Ghana Police because we wrote to them and then we had engagement with them. The routes were assessed and everything verified and we are ready to go.
All right. I mean, is there a duration for this? Do you know when you're going to have this? Starting from what time to what time?
Okay, so we are starting tomorrow, which is the 3rd of October, 6 a.m. from Okonglo bus stop straight to the sports stadium car park. That is for the first day. On the 4th as well, that is Friday, we are doing the same thing to the sports stadium car park. And on the 5th, that is when we are inviting everyone, including workers who may not be able to come for the weekend, for the weekdays, to come for the weekend. And we are doing the same thing from Okonglo right to Independence Square this time, where we'll be holding a night vigil where we project the stories about the devastation that Galamsey have caused, and the severity of the situation or the issue or the menace in visual forms.
Okay. All right,
so we are doing 3 days.
I'm grateful to you for joining, and all the best to you. Now, away from that, Health Minister Dr. Bernard Okoboy has referred the conduct of certain medical staff from Winneba Trauma and Specialist Hospital to the Criminal Investigations Department, CID, and the Attorney General's Department for further investigation and possible prosecution. This follows a report on June 13, 2024, where a female patient was allegedly abandoned in a bush near Ojobi in the Gumwa East District by hospital staff, leading to the patient's subsequent death. The committee was, however, unable to establish the identity of the deceased. However, in a statement issued today, the ministry has given a raft of recommendations on the way forward regarding the case, including handing over the case to the police CID for criminal investigation. Let's bring you details of that statement. Now, it says, the Honorable Minister of Health, Dr. Bernard Okoboy, has directed that the conduct of certain officials of the Trauma and Specialist Hospital in Winneba be reported to the CID and the Attorney General's Department. This follows investigations by the Ghana Health Service, which concluded that the employees identified as having contributed to the planning and evacuation of the patient from the hospital to Ojobi, where she was abandoned until her death, did not act appropriately. They continue to say that the committee also recommended that the said staff be sanctioned by the Ghana Health Service through internal disciplinary procedures. However, the ministry is of the view that in light of the gravity of the issue captured in the report involving the loss of life, further investigations should be carried out by the Honorable Attorney General and Minister for Justice. And consequently, the Minister of Health has requested the assistance of the AG to initiate an investigation into the case to determine the culpability or otherwise of the affected staff and take any further action deemed appropriate. This matter has also been reported to the Criminal Investigation Department. So this is what the ministry is saying. It says the Ministry of Health is committed to the recommendations made by the Committee of the Ghana Health Service. The ministry reiterates its dedication to upholding the highest standards of healthcare delivery and ensuring that the tragic circumstances leading to this incident are not repeated. Well, let's delve into the legal implications of this decision by the ministry. But first, my colleague Carlos Caloni joins via Zoom with the key findings informing this decision by the ministry. Carlos, what are the key findings based on which this statement has been issued?
So the committee actually discovered that the deceased woman was neither from the Ojobi community nor had ever lived in that community and was unknown in the community. And actually, the nurse who first attended to her tried to gather some information about her to identify where she hailed from. But the woman, being mentally challenged, was not able to provide the information needed. And so based on these findings, the committee concluded that the disease was mentally ill and did not originate from the Ojobi community.
Interesting. I'm great. And then regarding a transfer from the hospital, what did the committee establish after its findings?
All right, so the committee said it finds the discharge process, the transportation process into the community or the community integration approach by the hospital staff as inappropriate and in sharp contrast to existing practices. And it is worth noting also that even though the committee did not disclose the names of the medical staff in its report, it identified about 6 of them, and for which reason it's referring the matter to the police and the Attorney General's Department.
Grateful, Carlos, for those details. Now, Isaac Jiabo-Ofori is founder and president, Patient Right Watch Ghana. Grateful to you. Now, your initial reaction to this directive by the ministry, refreshing?
Thank you for having me. Yes, refreshing, except that it points to a bigger gap in terms of policy regarding how to identify and manage unclaimed patients. So that if you look at the conduct of the 6 individuals involved, it appears they were lost as to what to make of the unclaimed patients. And even now, it appears after the matter went viral, they still do not have family members who have come out to claim the patient. So there is a lacuna in terms of policy with respect to how to manage unclaimed patients in Ghana.
Okay. And now that the committee has not been able to establish the identity of this woman, what legal consequences could the medical staff face if they are found culpable?
Well, I don't think the identity of the person is germane per se, because if you look at it, a bona fide Ghanaian has been mistreated. And in our statute books, if you look at Act 29, which is the Criminal Offences Act, if you look at Section 73, it looks at criminal negligence. So that if that is how come the committee has made further recommendations for the Attorney General and by extension the CID or the Criminal Investigation Department to look into the possible criminal aspect of this whole event, so that if they can establish same, then those persons could be charged, probably under criminal negligence, and the proper penalties meted out.
And what else do you want to see beyond this directive regarding protection of patient rights in Ghana?
Well, like I said in my introduction, this issue raises the larger issue of what to make of unclaimed patients. And I think that if you look at it carefully, it appears this issue is but a tip of the iceberg. I'm sure this woman is not alone. There are countless number of unclaimed patients in our health centers. So I think that this matter is a wake-up call to the ministry, probably to work in association with the Ministry for Gender and Social Protection and the NHIA and other NGOs within the space to fashion out clear policy guidelines on how unclaimed patients can be identified, who is an unclaimed patient, and then what to make of them in terms of their larger, management and care. and then who pays for their cost? I think that once these issues are answered, I'm sure that matters of such nature will be curtailed, if not entirely ruled out.
Okay, grateful to you for joining us here. This is still Joy News Prime. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more. Please do stay.
All GPRs nationwide will lay down.
Well, as the election contest, which is brought to you by Petrosol Platinum Energy, Energizing Dreams, the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, the American Institute of Certified Public Accountant, together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountant. Also by the German Ozone Medical Center, Alternative Therapy, Dental Wellness and Beauty, and Chopbox Technologies, a convenience service, as well as Youth Bridge Foundation, bridging the gap for positive youth development. Now, the Electoral Commission has rejected demands by the opposition, the National Democratic Congress, to allow for the Commission's IT systems to be scrutinized by an inter-party committee. This follows the EC's assurances that most of the challenges identified by the NDC has been resolved and the completed register will be without the mistakes the party says it has identified. According to the NDC, scrutinizing the EC's entire IT system will eliminate accessibility of the systems to data manipulation and infiltration from officials and non-officials of the Electoral Commission who have access to login credentials. But the EC says there is no need to worry. Benjamin Barno-Bill is the Commission's Director of Electoral Services.
Let us provide them with the updated or corrected PVR, and if they have issue, they should let us know. And if the issue presented requires or demands such examination of the IT system is required, the Commission will avail herself to it. The IT infrastructure, what does we use it for? We use it to compile the voters. Compilation, generation, and then get the print. After the register issues are over, we are not going to use the IT system for anything because results are collated manually. Results are submitted manually. And so trying to review the IT system, you need to know the purpose for which you want to do that. But however, I must put it in public that we have nothing to hide.
Okay.
And the Commission is ever ready to ensure transparency at all levels of its operation.
Now, one other important outcome of yesterday's IPAC meeting was the decision by Chairperson of the Commission to allow for media coverage of the meetings going into the future. The Center for Democratic Development, CTD Ghana, believes it is not every meeting that must be open to the media. Dr. Kojo Pumpuni Asante is the Director of Policy and Advocacy at CTD Ghana.
I think all IPAC, it should be specialized because I think sometimes IPAC actually needs that quietness because some of the deliberations, it doesn't need to be in the public, public gallery because these are politicians. You get the grandstanding and all of that stuff where sometimes people just need to work. They need to just deliberate and work, among themselves. And I think if you open it up all the time, you're just going to get, a lot of performance and you won't get substance from IPAC meetings. So I think that, yes, a very important platform like today, yes, open it up, but don't make it almost like determinant that every IPAC meeting, you should have it open up like this. You should just determine as and when an important issue is going to be discussed, open up IPAC, but don't make it routine.
The NPP and NDC agree with the EC's decision. First is the Deputy Director of Elections of the NDC, Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer, and followed by NPP's Director of Elections, Evans Nemako.
Why should we keep out the media from it? Like this discussion we are having, if they had allowed live broadcast of our 6th September meeting, I don't think we would have gotten to this stage. So you see that it has calmed nerves. The whole country was glued to their TVs, watching us, going through all this. You see, it will bring back that kind of integrity that they nearly lost out along the line. We just want Ghanaians to live in the system. That is why we are doing all this. Okay. I thought we would have kept it to ourselves, and then who knows what we would have been thinking towards the December 7th.
I think it will be of great help. It opens up the discussion and
is brought to life by you, the media, because sometimes when we leave IPAC, it appears there are different narratives, and this doesn't help our discourse. So to have your presence in these meetings, to let the world know exactly live telecast of discussion, so we know where we are.
Now, away from that, NDC's flag bearer John Dramani Mahama is accusing the MPP and the government of fabricating fake opinion polls, stating that all credible opinion polls have predicted that the NDC is going to win. These remarks come as he intensifies his campaign, taking it to Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia's home region, Northeast, where the NDC has vowed to defeat the MPP presidential candidate in his own backyard.
All the credible opinion polls have predicted that NDC is going to win. And so because of that, the MPP and government have started publishing fake opinion polls that have no methodology, opinion polls where you cannot find the people who did the research. And so ignore all those fake opinion polls. Everything indicates, and every credible institution, economic intelligence unit, Fish Solutions, Global Info Analytics, every proper credible opinion poll shows that NDC is going to win the election. But of course, we must not be complacent. We must protect every single person's vote. And that is why I say, in this election, all of us are going to be polling agents.
Now, the Chief of Seshi Bonsai and Krontihini of Seshi, we also Traditional Council, Nana Oforia Henkind II, has told Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia that Ghanaians will reward him for the development he has brought to them. He said this at his palace when the MPP flag bearer paid him a courtesy call as part of his tour of the Western North region.
This opportunity to say a big thank you to Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia for coming to Bonsai. We never thought this day was going to happen, but he has made it happen. We thank you so much. We thank the MPP government for helping us with the road construction for both Draboso and Bonsai town roads. Thank you so much. Dear person, can I say, MPP abai yadamuase. Nyamin Shiramo Nana Wanyane Baby Kono or Yanadrin say Nanka Opese Ohukota and Sanwawu Yankopon Fana Crazy Wahukota Me Penso MPP Abai Masha Sie Amaye who say Bibiwa Baby Na Anuntino Me Shamo Bosse Mojuma Moyeno. Yemanenko on notice. You will be rewarded on that.
Now, President Akufo-Addo has reiterated the commitment of his government of ensuring free, fair, and peaceful elections in the December polls. He disclosed that, though he would wish that his anointed successor and flag bearer of the MPP, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, wins, he will not make any attempt to subvert the will of the people. Speaking at a meeting with the clergy, Muslim clerics chiefs, he touted the achievement of his administration, stating that he has made the country better than he met it. Joy News' Upper West regional correspondent Rafiq Salam reports from Wa.
President Akufo-Addo 1 hour meeting with the clergy, Muslim clerics, members of the Upper West Regional House of Chiefs, and some community leaders in the Upper West region hinge on 3 fronts. First is to thank the people of the Upper West region and the country at large for the honor done him to be the president of the country and their continued cooperation, which has brought relative peace to the country. Second is to tout the achievements of his administration, and lastly, to urge the people to vote for the flag bearer of the MPP, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, to be president to continue his good works.
And what we have done in this region, in education, in health, in road infrastructure, in agriculture, in the industrial development of our country. And I have, with modesty, but also with pride, I can say that in all these areas, I have improved considerably the state of affairs in the Upper West region compared to what I inherited in 2017.
President Akufo-Addo touched on the implementation of the free senior high school policy, which has given opportunity to major students to benefit, improvement in the quality of education in the country, and expansion of infrastructure projects.
The road network in the Upper West region has increased from 5,797.41 kilometers in 2016 to 6,741.8 kilometers by the end of 2022. This reflects, by the end of 2022, these figures do not include the expansion that has been recorded in 2023 as well as what is going on in 2024. But even then, by 2016-2022, we're seeing a 16% growth in the expansion of the road network in the Upper West. They include asphaltic overlays. They include the completion of some notable roads, Wa, Hain, Kaliu, Sankana, Takpo, Wa, Viera, Nadoli, Laura, Hamile. And now we've also seen the first tarred road to the border, Hamile border.
Despite the significant achievements that he touted about, he considered that there's still more to be done.
Well, and that's how we wrap up today's edition of Joy News Prime. There's more on myjoyonline.com. Up next is Joy Prime Business with Pius Kojobaka. Good evening.